elite units in the league, but
yeah, they gave up be at home.
Yeah, they got lit up a little bit.
They got run over between Woodhead and Melvin Gordon, who Melvin Gordon really surprised me. He was a guy I was super critical of, not impressed with, but this year it looks like the light went on, somebody's home. He popped a couple nice runs. Melvin Gordon might be the real deal. I might have screwed up.
Well, you never, like we said, it's week 1. He had a nice game. We'll see.
All right, and lastly, some fantasy stuff. How could we forget New England and Arizona? Was that a Super Bowl preview? Sans Jimmy Garoppolo.
All I could do is laugh. I sit there and you wonder the whole time. Somebody brought this up to me the other day, and it's just so true. It's just blasphemous to give Bill Belichick 7 points.
Every time Bill Belichick has an opportunity to beat you, he takes it and he succeeds.
Yep.
He is the best head coach.
The scary part of it, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback, no Gronkowski. They're going on the road. They're in the desert against a team that a lot of people, including myself, chose to go to merge out of the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. They go there and beat them. They not just cover, they go beat them.
Yeah, and they're a missed field goal away. And sometimes I can't help but wonder if Bill Belichick has sold his soul to the Prince of Darkness on high. But look, he presses all the right buttons.
I think Bill Belichick is the Prince of Darkness, and I think Tom Brady sold his soul to him.
Possibility. Well, maybe Giselle is the Prince of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's something weird going on there. You got a guy who runs a 5.2 40 coming out of Michigan, struggling to start over Drew Henson, and all of a sudden he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Yeah,
it's the no rhyme or reason to any of it. It really isn't. But the one thing we can all agree on is that the hoodie is by far one of the most dangerous people on the planet when it comes to a playbook. Just good stuff. He puts them in a position to win. Garoppolo, you watched them move the ball up and down the field. I think Edelman had like 7 catches, but you watch the routes and you watch everything, and it just didn't look like they missed a beat. It just didn't look like anything had changed. I know that they probably weren't as aggressive, but when Chris Hogan got open on that little wheel route, everything looked as if you could have just changed the 10 to a 12.
Where do they find these guys, too? These guys just buy into the system, and they make it work. A buddy of mine who's a Browns fan asked to say, well, there's another guy, the Browns, they passed up on Jimmy Garoppolo. I said, no, you need to get this right. Yeah. If Jimmy Garoppolo played for the Cleveland Browns, it wouldn't make a difference. He would suck.
He would probably be selling used cars now somewhere in Euclid Heights.
He would suck, because he might not even be on a roster anymore. Now that he just happened to be fortunate enough to get on this system where you are just put in the best position to win every single Sunday. Yeah,
it's too impressive to keep to. It's just too impressive. Want to jump into some fantasy stuff because it's time to talk about our panic or beast mode here, Joe. There's some guys that you draft and everything looks great, looks exciting, and then all of a sudden week 1 and everything just shits. We talked about Todd Gurley being a giant disappointment. I want to start with some running backs. Aside from Todd Gurley, I was not big on Devonta Freeman in the offseason. I felt that because last year he actually lost or won that starting job via injury to Tevin Coleman, and then Freeman had this monster year. Devin Freeman's a good running back. There's no doubt about it, but I just don't know if he's what you think he is. If you have Devin Freeman on your lineup right now, are you looking to maybe deal him, maybe trade him, get something for him if you can, or are you just going to ride it out? Because I think he's panic mode right now.
I honestly didn't watch any of that Tampa Bay Atlanta game. I didn't watch any of it, not a second of it. As a matter of fact, I saw what Jameis Winston, talk about fantasy, talk about what that young man out of Florida State just did in that Week 1 game. I don't know. I think it's tough to say panic after any Week 1 game. Although I think Todd Gurley has the most panic behind him, just because we know what his team is going to be able to do, what his team will not be able to do, I should say, and that's have anything other than him on offense.
I agree.
That's by no fault of his own why he's under panic mode. I'm gonna have to go with my boy the Washington Redskins. I'm gonna say Matt Jones is falling in the panic mode. I watched him. I did pay attention to that because I needed at least 6 points just to beat Matt the Stat last night, and Man Jones just couldn't do it, and I think he's an injury question mark too. I think he's nicked up. I don't think. I don't.
No, I
agree.
Really. He actually did a nice job of sometime not wanting contact, which is an indication of maybe just being achy, sore, banged up, hurt. He had 2 fantasy points last night out of a starting tailback. Now, granted, they fell behind early. That team has a real tendency to just go at Jordan Reed, and I think that hurts Matt Jones. But Chris Thompson punched that one in the end zone. So he didn't even get a goal on Harry, which you would think first game of the season, get your premier back the goal line carry, get him to break the ice a little bit, get something going. They didn't do it, and that's, I don't know too much about Jay Gruden's coaching style, but with the play calling style, you like to get some momentum there. He just didn't do it. So I'm with you. Between Freeman, Gurley, and Matt Jones, they accumulated a total of 9 fantasy points over the weekend. Those are 3 guys that were taken first, second, and third round.
If you look at it from top to bottom, though, this was not a good week for fantasy running backs.
No, it wasn't. But it was a great week for 4 of them. 3 being C.J. Anderson. D'Angelo Williams was incredible last night. Carlos Hyde was great. Carlos Hyde was very damn good last night. Really patient. Really has a nose for the hole. He's a popper. I like Carlos Hyde. I think healthy, he's a special running back. And Lamar Miller was very good in Houston over the weekend as well. So those are guys that I had in the beast mode category as running backs. I want to add one more quick panic mode, actually 2, to the running back category. Jamal Charles. Glad he didn't draft
Jamal Charles is like that Looney Tunes commercial or cartoon, I should say, with that arm that's just that anvil, always just hovering over his head. Just when are they going to cut the rope? When's it going to fall?
No, he is. He's Wile E. Coyote, man. Something's going to pop all the time. I feel bad for him because he's certainly a super talented player and one of the better running backs I've ever seen physically. He just tough staying on the field. But when you start the season banged up, what makes anybody think that these guys are going to be healthy for, what's one more week at that point? One more week. I've been sore. I've been banged up. You just don't heal, especially when they're taking a beating like that. I mean, you're just not, if you start the season in bad shape, you're automatically going to get worse. Everybody does. Everybody gets more and more banged up as the season goes on. I'm always scared to draft guys with injury concerns because this is the layover, the hangover that goes with it. Chris Ivory's got me really concerned because they keep talking about this just a health condition. This smacks to me of a staph infection.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I do know that with the way the physical style of run that Chris Ivory employs, I think eventually it just takes a toll on your body. I still think he's just such a punishing downhill runner. I don't think you can't do that long anymore.
I don't know if you saw the news though, but they hospitalized him over the weekend. He is still in the hospital, and they are calling it a medical condition or a medical issue. So maybe he had appendicitis. Those things happen where you've got to have a brief surgery and you're sick. You got to shake it off, and it takes a week or 2, and he could be out for 6 weeks. But the problem I keep seeing here is he's still in the hospital. So if you're in the hospital on Tuesday night, you're not playing Sunday. Bet your ass. You're not playing week 3, 4, 5.
Depends. Depends unless it's sometimes after a game, something like that. People have some dehydration, especially depending on
this is prior to the start of Sunday's game. They hospitalized him Saturday. This is without seeing the field. There's something. What I'm getting at is I just feel like there might be something seriously wrong with him. And staph infection creeps up into my thought process here all the time when you start seeing things like this. Hopefully that's not the case, because those can be career enders, and you get something that's like antibiotic resistant, and then all of a sudden this poor guy could lose. So it could be tragic. So
I was going to say staph infection. I mean, as far as his playing career, let's just hope. Missing Sunday is the least of his worries if that's right. The case, but that's just pure speculation nonetheless.
It sure is. I'm just kind of assuming, or I'm speculating what could be going on there. So hopefully it's not the case with Chris Ivory. But if you did draft him, I think it's time to start worrying, because you might not see him on the field for quite a long time. Let me ask you about some beast mode wide receivers.
Well, let me throw. You'll never guess which one I'm coming at you up. Antonio Brown. throwing one out there for you.
I
Bet you never guessed
him off the list because I think is the number one overall and the clear-cut most dangerous man in the NFL.
He's the best. He's the best. He's like a cheat code in a video game. He's just not fair. He's not fair, especially in the roles that you have these days in the NFL. The guy's just not fair. He's too fucking fast. He's just so athletic, and then you can't get physical. You're not able to get physical with him, jam him up at the line. What do you do? How do you stop this guy, especially in that offense?
Good question. I don't know. He's on the same page with Seven. He's got enough help around him in Eli Roberts and Sammy Coates. I didn't realize how big Sammy Coates was till I was watching that game last night. He's fucking huge.
I tell you what, I watched that kid play on Saturdays at Auburn, and
I didn't think he was that big.
I'm scratching my head. I watched him play enough times where I thought this kid was a first-round wide receiver. I don't know why this kid went so far. He went down so far.
Maybe he has trouble with the playbook.
Could always be.
Than not, that has a lot to do with it, is he just has trouble digesting a playbook and getting on the same page. So we'll take Antonio Brown out of the mix, but Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead, that New Orleans offense is going to sling the ball around, especially when they're at home. If you've got them on your fantasy teams, start them at home every week, regardless of the matchup. Stop with the matchup bullshit. I knew a guy that actually benched A.J. Green this week because they were playing Darrelle Revis. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. You benched A.J. Green. You drafted him in the first round. Now, I know a guy in my other league who drafted LeGarrette Blount in the first round and benched him, but I question any move he makes at all. But you don't. This is just the perfect argument for never benching your studs. You just don't do it. But in the beast mode category, Brandon Cooks, Willie Snead, Antonio Brown.
Well, right, we talked about that. The key is week one. Week one especially because you don't know shit yet. You don't know who's going to be what or how things are going to play out. If you drafted the guy in the first 4 rounds, you play him. That's just, yeah.
And the story, you play him. You took him early. You drafted him. If you obviously thought more of him at draft day, so I agree. I only get so pissed off because I benched C.J. Anderson last week, and I'm not afraid to admit it, but I'm not happy that I did it, and I'm really upset with myself.
That's the lesson to be learned. Overthinking is a problem sometimes in this league.
I overthought it. It was a bad mistake. I take it back. 2 other guys that I want to mention. Beast mode side of the receiver category. Larry Fitzgerald looked freaking great Sunday night.
Larry Fitzgerald's a consummate professional. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And as soon as people start saying he's done, he plans on retiring, I don't think so. I think Larry's still got a lot left in the tank.
He does. He's great. To the other side of this coin here, to the flip side, the panic mode setting in. I took Allen Robinson in the second round in one league, and he got his looks. Had a couple drops. Really well defended from what I was able to see of that game. Do I panic about Allen Robinson right now in 7 points on Sunday?
Nah, it's just too tough after one game. One game.
It is, but it's definitely something to wonder about. How about Sammy Watkins with the bad foot, week 1, coming out saying, I'm in pain.
Now, there you go. Now, that is more because I don't like this Buffalo Bills offense as a whole anyway. Now, watch, he's going to go the Jets play them on Thursday night. He's going to go off, but now that I say that. But I just don't like the Bills offense.
I don't blame you. I think Tyrod Taylor's a special athlete. Pretty good player. He makes things happen, but it just doesn't seem like they're very balanced. I didn't watch much more than a handful of snaps in the Buffalo-Baltimore game because that game, seriously, that's like a soccer match. It's just going to put me to sleep. It was awful. And they even called it a defensive struggle, and I just think it was an all-around football struggle. I just don't think those are 2 very good teams at all, Baltimore included in that category. They're just not very good. But good enough to beat Buffalo. Boring-ass game. Sammy Watkins is the concern I have there. LaShawn McCoy, on the other hand, played pretty well, but Sammy Watkins is a big concern, especially in a system that I don't know that he's got a lot of help. Robert Woods on the other side. It's just
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Bills on paper.
No, I don't either. This is the same asshole coach though who cut Chris Hogan, who slides right into the New England clubhouse. And
well, just a whole different. It's just the difference in the system is just night